Okay, I'm gonna be honest. If you clicked on this video, I can make two assumptions. Either A, you just like hearing me talk, which, thank you. Or B, you're actually an Esben and the Witch fan, and you're going, wait, there's videos about them on the internet? In both cases, I have decided to take the sort of personal storytelling angle for this video. Very different from the Pierce the Veil video, which I wanted to be concise. I'm just gonna ramble a bit because you don't know this band, or if you do know this band, you don't know me. And in either case, I would like to paint a very alive picture and just sort of relish the moment because, yeah, after the Pierce the Veil album ranking, I realized it's a really nice format. I don't know how often or to what degree I want to talk about, like, I don't know, non-Vocaloid music. Vocaloid fits on the channel, but like, I don't know, prog rock. Do y'all care about prog rock? I saw your votes on the poll and I was shocked, and I actually took them into consideration. The fact there were 3 people who wanted to hear me talk about Coheed and Cambria, it was pretty shocking, and I'm actually working on all 3 of those videos now, and it's been pretty fun going back and revisiting these bands, so look forward to that. But yeah, there was never gonna be a tactical time to make a video about Esben and the Witch. They are a sort of post-punk, which is the vaguest thing ever, call it experimental, rocky, gothy punk band that has had a number of sounds in their time, and they are one of, if not my number one favorite band of all time. Yeah, I'm working on the Tool video, Coheed video. Portugal the Man's probably ready to go. I was gonna do one or the other. Each takes a lot of work this month, but I decided that, well, okay, I didn't decide. My grandmother passed away, my nanny. And I'm not going to pretend like we didn't see this coming. We had like 10 years to brace, which in its own way is like you get lulled into a false sense of security. And yeah, I took bereavement leave. I recorded Silk Song Pulse. I've been in a good little grieving place. And Esben and the Witch, who come in and out of my life now, just came and were really here for me these last couple days. It's good music for mourning, but more than that, it really got me thinking about Maine, which was where my grandparents moved once they moved away from where I grew up. And for a good while, this was a really good deal because we were young, and I would go with the cousins up to get even more Maine, even more southern Maine in our lives. My family was already addicted to southern Maine beaches. That's like really like a spiritual home for me. We went to our beach houses, but they had a house. They had a house that was just a car's ride away from the beach. So when I think about my grandparents, I think about Maine, and there's a lot of layers to that. I'm going to tell a lot of stories tonight. I went to college while I was in my peak Esben and the Witch fandom, and I lived near my grandparents, so if I didn't like being in the dorm as a transgender woman, I could bail and live with them if I needed to. That's actually why I went to that college for 3 semesters. And I would listen in the summer when I was up in nature. There's going to be a story about that up in the Cadillac Mountain in Bar Harbor. And just generally, I really can't help but think of those drives through the woods or on the coastline, either going to my grandparents or just, being in the area but feeling anchored because they were there. Yeah. And funny enough, Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, because I had a really good session playing them at the beach house once, they also remind me of Maine, so my footage today will be provided by Link, mostly. I think I have some deviations planned when it is appropriate, but yeah, enjoy me messing around in the Wild Kingdom for a bit. It's kind of a novelty. Yeah, I really do, especially that Spiral Island. I look at that, or Eventide Island, I look at that and I'm like, yo, we're in southern Maine. That's where this is. But, yeah, proving my chops as a rambler here, this is going to be my Esben and the Witch album ranking, which did have 2, maybe not 2. It had at least one really spicy decision to make, and otherwise is pretty set in stone. I just had to think about what I wanted to say for each one because I'm sort of presenting the band as a whole, which I should do in a little bit more detail before we go actually into it, shouldn't I? So, Esben and the Witch is a Danish fairy tale which I recently read in Japanese and understood maybe 65% of. It's okay if you don't know the fairy tale. Basically, they take a lot of inspiration from like true gothy shit. I think they moved to Germany as a trio for a while. Yeah, I used to be a stan. They moved to Germany for a while just to like take inspiration from the art and the history. One of them still lives there, and yeah, it's a lot of like gothic, brooding, a lot of fairy tales, a lot of nature, a lot of that shit. And they had a lot of very distinct eras. They began as a very, very dark, sparse, haunting, electronic, like icy, witchy sound. Not for too long, but their original EPs had that vibe. Then they switched to a sound that I'm very partial to for just one album, a sound that I think they've kind of disowned, more or less. Something more approachable and radio friendly, a more condensed, warm, human, poppy, rocky, synthy kind of thing. It's a bit hard to describe. Some people call it certain words. We'll get back to that later. I have a lot to say about that album. And then they went on a big odyssey as this like big, like heavy overdrive guitar, like brrr, brrr, like this kind of, I almost want to say post-metal, but I feel like people get mad at me for saying that. Still very dark, still very cold, still very spacey, very raw, very nature-focused at the time. The album covers are always just pictures of trees and dirt and rocks. And they would play festivals. This might have been their peak of popularity. They would tour a lot of different like European like black metal festivals. But when I say black metal, this is pretty different from what you'd imagine. You know, it's not like like power metal. It's not like black metal, like the banshee in the castle. It's more just like honestly the shit they were on already, but with very different structures. Guitars were the main thing. Big, heavy, almost sludgy guitars was their thing. And then for their most recent, possibly final album, they switched it up. And you'll hear more about that later. Yes, you will. But yeah, for most of their career, they were this kind of post-rock, post-metal kind of thing. But they were always a very awkward, artsy, dark, spooky type of band. They're currently on hiatus. I read the Instagram posts. I'm very glad they posted that. They're on hiatus. They're just all living in different countries. I can't imagine this was a very financially successful time for them to be in a band. And they might come back someday. They will come back someday. Maybe just for a reunion show or tour. Maybe for an album. Maybe for a series of albums. We don't know, but I really appreciate the communication. Because, yes, I was literally a stan of this band. Like, I loved bands through all of my teens, but this era, when I was like, Esben and the Witch was my favorite thing in the world, this was different. This was the only time I've ever straight up been obsessed with a band and the people in it, and like looked at all their social medias and like looked at pictures of them live and go, oh, they're so cool. That's not usually how I engage with things, but I can tell you straight up, this is a 3-piece band. Rachel Davies is the front woman. She's kind of the face of it. She's the vocalist and the bassist. And some people, some of my friends are like, she has no range, but she does what she does, and she does it really well. She has this kind of lower crooning voice, maybe not the biggest range, sure, but it gives you chills, and she knows what she likes. She really captures the heart of the band. And I don't know if I can speak to the quality of her bass playing, but I like it. Then I believe it began as... Okay, so the founding members were Thomas and Daniel. They were buddies trying to start a band, but then Rachel was friends with Thomas and got brought in as the vocalist, so I'll go to Thomas next. Thomas Fisher is a very funny guy who is always bald and always has glasses and a huge beard and is a man of even less words than the other two, and they are all very, very stoic in anything I've ever seen. This guy is the guitarist, and kind of like when I said with the black metal, he's not what you would think of with the guitarist, like in simple terms. He's very like focused on creating atmospheres, very focused on this artistic painting vibes and stuff like that. The guitar is a fantastic part of Esben and the Witch, but it's almost the way that you would think of a synthesizer player some of the times, where it's less about riffs, it's more about creating a mood. And he has his own solo project called Blanket of Rock, which pretty much immediately illustrates what I'm talking about here. It's just these kind of beautiful, haunting, soothing walls of of noise. Sometimes people will call this band shoegazy, like maybe, but I don't know. Thomas gives it a lot of its unique flavor. And then there's Daniel Copeman, I don't know, who is the drummer, and he does like programmy stuff for if there are synths or electronic elements on the album. And he is probably the one who you can feel the influence of the most. I mean, okay, whether there's distortion on the guitar or not has a pretty big impact on the album, but Daniel is like okay being the drum machine in the older albums, I suppose. He's also okay being the drummer on like big heavy rock stuff, but he always had this kind of like engineer vibe. Like whatever was going on with the era or the style, he adapted to kind of fit it. And I feel like he wore multiple hats. I feel like I don't know, maybe he was just specifically the synth drums drum machine guy. But I feel like there's yeah! He used to be a backing vocal. I actually yeah, he very rarely will do backing vocals. And I used to comment on their social media like, I like it when he does that. He also doesn't have like a ton of range, but his voice is very distinct. The oldest album has it. I think maybe the newest album has some too. I remember being really excited when I heard it, but we'll get into that later. Yes, it's a three-piece group. They never really change. They seem like very good friends, and each one really brings a lot to the table. And there's just something kind of charming about the whole ensemble. They have a very clear vision, and they're not afraid to change styles in every album. So it's a pretty fun discography to listen to. And now I am going to sell you on it. But maybe not the first two, because I can speak to their appeal as well as the other four. Number 6. It is Nowhere. This is the only album I've never like fully connected with. I mentioned before there were a lot of eras, and there was like the big sludgy rocky metal era, and that was my weakest era. Both the bottom two albums came from that era, and it just doesn't quite speak to me like the other stuff. Like there's always gonna be stuff I like. On this album specifically, the song Seclusion is really good. Because this is a completely unfamiliar band for most of you, I'm kind of focusing on giving like a take-home prize, a goodie bag, one song from every album where it's like, you should check this song out if you want to get a feel for the album. Seclusion is great. It's an example of one where the message and the lyrics are just very sweet, and they hit really well, and they feel very personal, compared to some other songs where they're painting a picture of some complicated, metaphorical, gothic nightmare. It's a little less personal. Seclusion is adorable. It's like, find your place, find your little place. It's about like kind of setting your roots down and taking care of yourself in a hostile world, which we could all use right now, right? Ha 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 ha. But yeah, there's just too many songs on this album that I've listened to and never really understood the appeal of. I think the first song is Desire for Light. It's kind of cool. It goes like, you belong inside my heart, you belong. That's cool. Yeah, it's good. It's just, it takes a certain something to make me like this era. And Nowhere doesn't have it, which, I've avoided saying the most major thing. I just wasn't really that into the band at this time. I was a super fan from maybe 2015 to 2018. Sometime around 2018 was when my taste really shifted. The Love Live drugs kicked in, and I needed everything to be super saturated, super expressive, super emotional, super hyper. It's funny, I didn't really click with Japanese music that well until I moved to Japan, but this was an era where I was starting to get into Japanese music, and the Japanese music I wanted was always super hyper saturated, saccharine and sugary, idle fun shit. So things were changing. I was also getting into like straight up electronic dancey music at this time, so it was sort of the end of my great era of alt rock. There was basically the man bands era. Then Esben and the Witch came and ended that. And I had this incredible time in 2017 that I'll constantly be referring to in these more niche band videos where all I did was listen to these awesome niche indie female fronted bands. Esben and the Witch, Skylark, and Joy Formidable, which is not as niche as the others. Other smaller ones like Land of Talk, Honey Nantuka. What were they? Honey Blood. Oh, it's a good name. Yeah, there were so many bands I was into at this time. Blouse, lots of stuff, lots of really good stuff. But for as rich as that era was, where Esben and the Witch was queen, it actually only lasted so long. And yeah, by 2018, I had kind of hit my first not as into rock era. And fortunately, I would get back into rock before the next album, but yeah, Nowhere was the only album that kind of missed me, both in terms of when it came out. I wasn't really super there for it day one, and it was my least favorite one from my least favorite era, unfortunately, so it has to be last. Number 5 is A New Nature. I don't even have anything written for New Nature. It's really embarrassing that I don't like this album more. It really epitomizes just how I was, for the fact that I was a fan of the band during this sludge metal era, and they didn't even make more than one album per the other eras. Half of their discography came out during this era. New Nature was when they started this, and as far as I can tell, they basically went back to the same style for Nowhere. Yeah, this was the new album when I first got into the band in 2014, and as hard as I tried, I've just never been that big of a fan of it. It's good. It's definitely good music. It has No Dog, which is your bling key item song here. I think No Dog is probably the most iconic Esben and the Witch song ever. I might not be the biggest fan of this era or these albums, but No Dog, yeah, that's the Esben and the Witch song. It is awesome. They really hit something there. I will always be chanting I am no dog, I am a wolf. That is, oh, they nailed it. I used to have t-shirts that said that. Yeah, No Dog is great. No Dog is just the definition of a banger, definition of a hit. It takes a style and just condenses it into a really listenable, super relatable, just stadium banger type thing. Oh my god, but the rest of the album, all I can picture is the album cover, which is the epitome of 4:40 a.m. to me. Yeah, sure, I listened to it on the foggy coastline of rural Maine or whatever, but also, I think of my friend's dad picking us up to go to the gym before high school, and I'm eating gross oatmeal with too much water in it and playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my DS with, the craziest seasick feeling ever, because I don't like being awake at 4:40 a.m., and, the mist rising in this picture, it really is... I just feel it's too early, and everything has this weird texture to it, and it's just, but to get into more specifics, I don't know, it's got that rough, granola crunchy feel of the era, yup, this sure is what ground feels like. There is, my personal favorite, probably over No Dog, is Wooden Star. Wooden Star was really there for me. It's pretty similar to Seclusion, but I almost like it more because it does have the metaphor. It's a bonfire. It's a bonfire song. A wooden star blaze in the dark in the eventide or something. I would listen to that while I'm seasick and miserable and dysphoric in high school. I remember listening to it in the bathroom one day. I don't want to be in the boys' bathroom, but it had Wooden Star and it was comfortable. So no, it's good. It's good, crunchy granola, ground rock, dark type Esben and the Witch, but that's just not my era. There's even a sketch of something to come later in the form of Jungle. And Jungle is cool, but it is just not as good as the things that it would foreshadow, and I will not desecrate the name of New Nature anymore. It's cool. Maybe it's your favorite album. I bet it's really good. I truly am lacking the gene that allows me to enjoy these sludge albums, which might make you wonder, why is this one of your favorite bands of all time? I don't know. I just loved everything enough that it didn't matter that I didn't really like these two albums as much as the others. But yeah, Esben and the Witch album. It's hard to go wrong. It's number 4, and it's Violet Cries, baby. Violet Cries, number 1 rank in 2023, number 1 rank in 2024, number 1 rank in 2016. Violet Cries, how is this number 4? Oh my god. The gulf. The gulf in excitement I feel talking about Violet Cries versus the first two albums. Like, yeah, man, this is what it's all about. I have to go into storytelling mode. Violet Cries was my first album, and it is the first album. There were EPs before it, which have a very similar sound. It's actually really nice that there's so much extra stuff, like the Lucia at the Precipice, which was their first thing that I think we have released properly. Yeah, I used to go hunting for this shit. I ordered... Here's a story. I ordered online. Someone had a bundle of tiny promotional CDs that they would give out at lives and stuff, just tiny random CDs and shit. They had a whole collection of Esben and the Witch shit, like, you know, underground shit. And I had my dad buy it for me for Christmas. I'm like, yo, you know what I want? Send 30 pounds to this bloke over in North Fellow, and awesome stuff. I have like 5 copies of Violet Cries in America at my dad's house now, and all of these weird unreleased singles and shit. Anyhow, cool era. I remember being like, someday I'll hear a Skeleton Swoon, and now Skeleton Swoon is on Spotify or whatever. Fuck Spotify, by the way. Skeleton Swoon's really good though. That was surprising. I think I was like, yo, wait, this is an old Esben and the Witch song, and it's actually wicked good. Whoa. Yeah, that was fun. Anyhow. This was the most electronic era. They started with this really electronic, very, very cold, icy witch house, like spooky, awkward shit. Even more so than Violet Cries itself was the Hexagons EP, like hexagons on hexagons, expanding static color. Like that album is just ice. It is like uncomfortably chill and just like, ooh, there's like no human element. But Violet Cries has a bit more range, and Jesus Christ, that album art is so good. It's like a picture of a frozen lake, right? I think, but it's something about it. Maybe it almost looks like a painting. The colors, the light whites and purples are so beautiful, and that is exactly what Violet Cries feels like. Which is to say, I got recommended this on iTunes somehow. This was before the like algorithm apps and stuff. Somehow, back when I was buying albums by bands, album by album, like I would get word of mouth recommendations from my guitar teacher and go, okay, I'm a Radiohead fan now, and then buy them album by album because I trusted Radiohead and they were worth my $13. Somehow, iTunes 2013 recommended me Violet Cries, and I said, this looks pretty cool, and I bought it, and it took me like a year to like it. I was like, oh, look, that Ice album by the Witch Band is in my library. Cool. Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah. Ooh, spooky. It didn't hit me until the moment I became an Esben and the Witch fan. My origin story was I went hiking. A real big hike for the first time with, again, my friend's family. And we went all day up and down Cadillac Mountain and Bar Harbor, and we were really immersed in it, like roughing it. Very few electronics, frozen, like reheated food, or what are the freeze-dry food. And there was a moment after hiking all day where I was laying in the tent and staring up at the darkness with that red light, which maybe has something to do with mosquitoes. It was just this pure red and the pine trees and the smell of the air, and I was listening to Violet Cries, and I finally got it. I don't remember what song it was, but it could have been Marine Fields Glow. Ding, ding, ding. My recommendation to you. Just a beautiful, soothing, touching, just if the literal water could speak to you with no artificial sweetener put in it. Just, oh my God, such a delicate, warm, grounding, earthy sound. Oh man, that feeling was special. There are some songs that get a bit more of like the rhythm to them, and you can kind of groove a little bit more. But for the most part, Violet Cries is just this very stark landscape where if I was kind of not into the other ones because they have this like earthy, crunchy boulder feel, this one is pure, unsugared nature, but it's like icy and it's beautiful. I love there's a series of songs I mentioned before, the hexagon ones, that have these like literal lyrics and symbols about hexagons and prisms and stuff. And God, that is just the perfect imagery for the sound. It's beautiful. Marching Song is the most popular song off of this. That's really cool too. It's a little less weird and I'm a snowflake crystal prism lick pattern or whatever. It's like, marching, like drums and that kind of tougher sound that they would move into. And for some reason, Marching Song was used in like a trailer for some Beavis and Butthead project, and I think that was some of the most commercial success Esben and the Witch, certainly in the early days, ever had. Actually, there was like there's a song off the second album that got used in some MTV show too. Sometimes they would be like a soundtrack album, I guess, but not often. Not often. Not album. Sometimes they would be like the soundtrack in a spooky like cinematic thing. You know how weird bands go. Yeah, Marching Song is cool. You might like Marching Song, but for me, Marine Fields Glow is really good, and there's so much stuff. My favorite song from this era is Lucia at the Precipice, but I'm supposed to not be getting into B-sides. All that to say, yeah, once the coin flipped and I liked Violet Cries, I think I like fundamentally understood something about the band that got me through all of the hardship in the winter. And there is really nothing like it. Like, I will see icicles, I will see frozen ponds, I will see things and think, good Violet Cries. It's just iconic. And the fact that it's number 4, more than anything, speaks to how, and I feel like pride welling up in my chest, just how lucky I got with the fact that album 2 and 3 came out while I was an active fan. Looking back, this was some of the best luck I've ever had with bands dropping albums while I'm a fan. And I think it's just time to get into it. It's actually not time to get into it. I forgot. I wanted to mention Light Streams. That's another, maybe even my actual favorite song. I don't know. Light Streams is a really epic song that has more of like the drama and the movement that might help you get into the band. And I wanted to drop the lyrics, just like, our hands blister as we hold them in the light streams. Our hands blister as we hold them in the light streams. That's one of my favorite things, which uses Daniel's backing vocals. I would be very remiss not to mention Light Streams. Had to stop and listen to literally all of Light Streams and kind of have a moment right there. Man, that album, man. But wow. So, this one's big. It is truly a testament to how excited I am by the possibility that today's number 2 could possibly be number 2. Normally number 3 is number 2. Normally this album, Older Terrors, number 3. Normally this is number 2. It's a titan. It's a titan. It's a big one. Man, oh man, I was very lucky when this came out. I was really, really lucky. Older Terrors, we got this. We got this. Yeah, normally this is number 2, but I seriously just got so lucky with the albums that came out while I was a fan that both the things that beat out Violet Cries are new albums I got to listen to on day one. Man, that is a good feeling. Anyhow, so the story with the sludgy heavy era, that story's not over because I was a fan throughout the entire era. And the album that dropped when I was at my peakest of fandom, it's honestly hard to say what they did. But this album is just so starkly different to me than New Nature and Nowhere. Those two albums are super duper similar to me. But Older Terrors, it's not just the non-traditional structure. It's a very ambitiously structured album where it's built of literally just 4 songs. It's 4 legs, these like 13-minute Goliaths. But it's not just that sets it apart. There is just something about the way these songs are written, man. And I if I had more sets of 13 minutes, I would have gone back to them more this week before talking about them here so I could gush more. But they are so rich. Man, I really I was in a rough time. It was my freshman year of college, my first time living outside the house. In some ways, harder to adjust to than moving to Asia, I'll tell you that right now. I remember counting down the days to November 4th or whatever it was. And finally, the Esben and the Witch album I've been waiting for what felt like eternity because, it was high school back then. Finally came out, and I was able to plop on my dorm bed and listen to this thing cover to cover. And there are some albums where I feel like a really good first listen kind of artificially pumps it up, but man, I've listened to this so many times. When I tell you, size does not matter. These are some of the most listenable tracks ever. In fact, I might even go far as to say, if you are interested in the band from an artistic angle, more than just looking for songs that would speak to you personally, flavors that speak to you, Violet Cries, great flavor. Number 1, my favorite flavor. Number 2, really good flavor. Number 3, it's less about the whole Older Terrors concept to me. It's obviously very cool. I have a lot of respect for the mythos that exists here because these are all those towering gothic nightmare visions. It's not 13 minutes saying I love you, I love you, I love you. It's about snakes and a forest fire and the wolf's son, which is the moon, and the reverist, which is really special. I suppose, as is betrayed in my tone of voice, although I did not immediately prepare this, the reverist would be my take home and listen to this song, but it feels very cheap to say that because it really feels like you have to build to that. Again, they are, you can listen to them on their own. You can listen to them on their own, and they don't feel like an investment. It doesn't feel like you've spent 13 minutes listening to them the way that some Tool songs obviously do. And I like them for that. I like songs like Third Eye by Tool. It's actually, spoilers. That one, even though it's a little bit sophomoric and, unrefined compared to the later, epics, I like it. I like that feeling of hey man, you listen to 11 minutes of this, we're gonna give you a really, unnuanced, just big, explosive, climax, and that's fun. These songs aren't like that. These songs, they do have those moments of just, orgastic power at the end of them, but everything getting there is also so cool. The imagery is top notch. The guitars are fantastic. I mean, this is my favorite album from the Heavy Thomas era. It's just beautiful. Just the way that they paint these visions of hell, and man, it's they don't even the Mars Volta. They also construct these gigantic Titanic dinosaurs of songs. These longer prog epics that I know very intimately. They will have a section where it's built like a scorpion, and the first 4 minutes have a very simple verse chorus structure to get you hooked, and then there's a long psychedelic whoa part before, again, the big explosion at the end. These songs, I feel almost all of them completely abandon the traditional song structure. They do almost nothing to hook you in. And again, I'm not like my most pretentious here, but as somebody who like grew up around jazz cats and like studied a lot of jazz, like I really turn my nose up at indulgent stuff where it's like we wanted to do 7/4 over a live cat for 11 minutes, so we're gonna do that do 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 like, and the listener's like, oh, I bet they're having fun. I'm not. This isn't like that. To me, Older Terrors is one of the most accessible masterpieces that I can think of. Like, maybe I'm just gassing it up because I love these songs, but when I think about the ways that all of these pieces come together, like a good Pierce the Veil album when I was talking about that, the way that every piece moves into another, the way that you move between waking and sleeping and energy builds and like, the ideas of the song get going as you go, it feels really big and yet also so easy to listen to the point where I'm circling around this point at numerous levels of depth. But what do you really feel, Layla? It's just a really cool, powerful album. The Wolf's Son is so cool, and it was one of the first songs that made me go like Rachel Davies Sapphic, maybe. It's just like, I want to suckle on the nipple of the moon or whatever. But it is very fun getting that follow up to like the wolf mythos or whatever right after No Dog, when wolves became like kind of a thing for Esben and the Witch. Yeah, that song's just fun. I think that's maybe the most just like fun all the way through. Marking the Heart of a Serpent is very funky. I feel like that one does a lot of building as well to the ending. Um, that one has really funky rhythms and stuff, doesn't it? That one does kind of leave you for a while with like the chill groove section, but yeah, very listenable all the same. Sylvan is my personal favorite. I think this was released as a quote single, even though it was a quarter of the album, and that one's just like kind of a good like if you want to build to the Reverist, which to me I feel like you have to earn, you have to let that come later because it is so celestial. It is so like divine. It is like, and I'm not saying like, oh, it's so good, it's divine and goddessly. I mean, like the themes are about this like really dramatic, transcendent arrival at some place. I feel like to get that Older Terrors experience, if you don't want to listen to the whole album, just listen to Sylvan and then listen to the Reverist, because Sylvan is a really approachable song. I don't know, I just re-listened to it just now, and it's the king of like suckering you in with just fun ideas that keep moving into one another and building this whole forest fire idea, and then ending with this really like almost No Dog style, less metaphorical, just like come with me to the place where the walls are weak. And I suppose the Reverist and Sylvan might have some of my favorite vocal performances by Davies in the whole series, because there's something so personal anytime she kind of just sounds a little bit more just like just a person, just a woman, just somebody, just like almost a little bit desperate in her vocals. It's so effective when she kind of lets her guard down and sounds just kind of like shaky, because it's the Ice Queen stoic stone face lyrics tone usually. Come with me, it almost sounds like pleading at the end. It's like, what the fuck, like you just did this like amazing battle cry, this crazy transcendent climax, and then it ends with just me, and then it goes to silence. Like, whoa! I think Sylvan is probably my favorite for that, but the Reverist is just something else. Just that is a song to lie on the floor and just like feel your life move over you. That is just another fantastic climax at the end. Ascending the ladders that hang from the gods, safe from the snapping jaws of the dogs. Oh, I'm getting choked up. It's just such powerful shit. Yeah. I think the Reverist is, it's like escaping into dreams, right? That's like what it is. It's just, man, all I can think of is ascending the ladder that hangs from the gods, safe from the snapping jaws of the dogs. It's the Black Hounds that bite. Oh my god, it's a cool album. And yeah, as much as I'd love to talk about driving on 95 North listening to it and blinking as 45 minutes go by, I think it's time to move on to the next album. Because I have two albums I like more than that album. Apparently. For tonight only.
I am down here in my chapel, where I'm safe from the evils of the world. I'm forgiven, but forgotten. So am I just at the bottom of a well?
If I was lucky with older terrors, and by golly I was such a different, totally different, numerous levels kind of super duper lucky with number 2, Hold Sacred. Hold Sacred came out 5 years after album number 5, which came after Older Terrors, by the way. It came after it, and they went back to the No Dog, the New Nature sound. This was their kind of baby that they nursed throughout lockdown, and a lot of time went by. I went through a lot of phases, and I didn't necessarily come back to Esben and the Witch naturally. I had my big emo phase for sure at that during that interval, and I don't know. I think it got to a point that I'm still at now, where I kind of listen to most everything from my history. So when I saw that there was gonna be LP6, I was like, hell yeah. I didn't know how much it was gonna hit me. I didn't know if it was gonna really still work like it used to back in the day, but despite having, not been listening to Esben and the Witch that much for a while, this was one of the best ways to bring me back. I always follow their socials still, not feverishly at all, really, just almost nostalgically. And they would post about this album they were working on, and I think they posted videos where they would go to the pictures of their cottage, we rented a cottage in the black forests of Merchandiser, and we have this whole wooden room to ourselves that Goethe used to paint his epics or whatever the fuck. And it would just be Thomas twanging 2 notes of a guitar and just letting them reverberate throughout the entire building. And even as somebody who found my taste for Violet Cries one of the definitive examples of an acquired taste in my life, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be into this one, because they said we're gonna drop the distortion. That era it's not gonna be like that. We're not gonna be heavy sludgy distortion. We're going as stripped back as we can. And I was picturing literally just acoustic guitars and poetry. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it would be so dry. But pretty much right from when they shared The Well, with a really good music video. There is a series of pretty damn cool music videos for this era. It was a proper little hype cycle. I was like, oh boy, here we go. Let's go. LP6, I'm into this. I was really happy. I was really happy with how much I liked The Well. And, in hindsight, as much as Older Towers rocked my socks off, and it was an awesome encapsulation of that era, I never realized till this little session here how much I was gonna call the album The Well. It's not. It's Hold Sacred. How much Hold Sacred was the perfect payoff for me as a fan, because I love Older Terrors, but this is the first time I've ever said I might already Hold Sacred more, because I keep going back to Hold Sacred. It's become kind of archetypical of a new album that drops from a band. I mean, now I'm getting older and it's becoming this thing of one of my nostalgia bands. Not something I listen to all the time, but something I go back to be oh yes, my roots. And at first I say, this is a B minus. This is a really good album by this band. This is great. I like it. But then the time goes by and I realize, well, pretty good is pretty good, Solid is quite a lot. I at first thought, you know what, I fuck with this. I like this. These songs are cool. I've got some favorites here. Cool. I like Hold Sacred, but man, it has aged wonderfully. When I was trying to divvy up these songs and pick my favorites, and I have ranking playlists that I try to keep live. I've been breaking those open for this project. I was like, what's my favorite song? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Yeah, you gotta know. No, I don't know my favorite song. I know them all so individually. I know the moods they create. Like, I didn't have a moment where I was like, oh yeah, hold Sacred Fever. I didn't have that. I just listened to it casually. And it really worked its Esben and the Witch magic on me. And everyone has a mood. Everyone has a moment. There were so many times since, May 12th, 2023, I'll get to that in a minute, where I would reach for them. Fear not. I always think of Alucard, especially Alucard in Castlevania Nocturne. I once edited a gift set with him and Fear not. It's like, if fear stalks the lonely, then fear not. I'm here. Which I think really captures one of my favorite things about this album, which is it is intentionally the most emotionally stripped back. I've been talking about this theme of sometimes it's a picture of a gothic hell, sometimes it's just somebody telling you their feelings. And this album is such a good possible final album for how hard it goes towards personal stuff. That's like the whole theme of True Mirror. The music video is literally just like Davies talking to her mirror, wearing like nothing, getting out of the shower. It's so stripped back and personal on, I guess, numerous levels. And yeah, these songs, Petals of Ash, yeah, as somebody who's like kind of lost a place that was like home to me, a very physical place, Petals of Ash, it's a great metaphor. It's like Wooden Star. It's like, yep, nope, I got it locked in. It feels wonderful. Silence 1812 or whatever, it's like some painting they like. It feels like Christmas, but in such an incredibly special, melancholy way. The Well is so sweet with this just kind of very natural sound, maybe a little bit Hollow Knighty, where it's very visual. The music video covers that. But at the same time, I guess a lot of this album reminds me of what I like about Wooden Star, actually. And Seclusion, I suppose. Look at The Well is again like, find your place. I'm at the bottom of the well. I'm here. I am. This is. I have my place. Like, I'm pulling from somewhere strong. It's a very empowering song while being cryptic and beautiful and stuff. I think The Well might be my recommendation to listen to. It feels very emblematic of the album. Just very solid, very, very fitting of it. Just continuing with naming the songs to prove that I can, I guess. Kaleidoscope is a weird song. I was mourning my cactus that I had throughout grad school, my tiny succulent. The day they dropped this as like a teaser single, I was like really mesmerized, and it has a weird, ethereal, like, I don't know. I do always think of like mourning, I suppose. And one time I was listening to it and I'm like, wait. If you listen closely, there's a completely different groove structure underneath it. I don't know what it is. I haven't heard it since then, but I'm like, wait, there's a second layer to Kaleidoscope that I haven't been hearing. It goes so much harder. I don't know what that illusory drum track was, but I heard it. It's weird, but it's very cool. Then there's In Ecstasy, which is a really beautiful song. Raising Your Hands to the Sky. I will talk about that again in a minute. Heathen. Heathen would be the other song I might consider saying, like, this is the song to listen to. But again, like Reverest, I feel like you have to earn it because it is forceful and it has this really specific energy of someone talking to like a dark god or something they've been channeling, and it's the protagonist's voice is so personal, the lyrics are so direct. I can't even quite put a finger on it, but it feels like an amazing summation for the entire band's legacy. There's just something so personal about the human and the god and this kind of fairy tale vibe. It's classic, and it is one of the most earned title drops at the end. I mean, this is the last song, right? If this is the last song they ever release, I think it'd be appropriate. It might not be my favorite on the album, but it has an aura, man. It really has an aura. We'll see if I can name the other one that I'm forgetting now. Well, Kaleidoscope, Ecstasy, Heathen, True Mirror, 1801, Fear Not. Ooh, The Depths. Oh my god, I almost can't get around this anymore. This game has a psychic bond with Tears of the Kingdom. Only I know, probably. This game released on the same day as Tears of the Kingdom. And not only is cranking it the best way to get lost in the atmosphere of the Sky Islands, but in Ecstasy, they have lines about raising your hands to the sky, like a flower in bloom, which is literally Todic. And then there's a song called The Depths. Straight up. And it is mostly, from what I remember, it's a lot of beautiful imagery of like bioluminescence and stuff like that. It's very beautiful, but it's like, what the fuck? Like, were you guys working with Aonuma? Now Melovania fans know that the perfect companion piece to Tears of the Kingdom is Hold Sacred. It just creates a wonderful ethereal mood like that. But oh, I'm gonna kick myself if I can't think of the other songs. Oh no. No, I think I named them. Wait, are there only 8 songs? Are there only 8 songs? Go to album. Yeah, I named them all. There's only 9. So the point is, this album is unquestionably my #1 recommendation if you're trying to get into the band, because it's really accessible. The songs, it feels so weird. I have never once considered it like going pop the way that I would some other things. I would never consider it a dumbing down, and yet something about it really does boil the essence of what I love about this band to such a simple, easy listening format, and yet you're still getting that Esben and the Witch experience of this chill, eerie, gothic thing, where most of the songs took me a couple listens to appreciate. It really is a good, like, baby's first Esben and the Witch album, but it has all of the emotional depth you could ever need. Like, it goes places the other albums do not go, and it truly is the perfect album for me, I think, because, as I'm about to say with #1, my favorite sound has unfortunately not always been the sound that the band likes the most. I love older terrors. I love that I got that from the hardcore era, but as I've said a million times, I vastly prefer Violet Cries and Wash the Sins, Not Only the Face. And Hold Sacred is just such a wonderful, surprising shipment back to that era of just kind of simpler songs, less crazy rock, just beautiful, spooky, gothic stuff. And this is really just some of the most special, comforting stuff they've made. I really recommend giving it a listen. It's just been there for me. I don't know how to say it. All these albums have been there for me, but ever since I met Hold Sacred, it has been there for me. It is a special album, but it's not my #1. Alright, I know I was doing the whole like aura building thing for #1, but again, another intermission. I had to go listen to Heathen after that. #1, I was imagining a certain character in a certain route of 100 line the whole time, which means I'm really cooked. Like, I've let this game very deep into my heart. I really am sunk. #2, turns out Petals of Ash is actually the final track on the album, which is a very different way to set up your final album ever. That's basically making your own eulogy at that point, but man, I would not be shocked if they did that final vocal take, expecting that to be the last song, like the end of the Esben and the Witch legacy, if it has to be. Like, man, oh man, yeah, that's the period on the first era before the hiatus. Jesus Christ, that stuff's good. But Wash the Sins is the reason any of this is happening. I will not cheapen the amount of love I've given all the other albums. Even Nowhere. I have given it so much lucid thought, so much special energy. I've had days where I reach for checks, notes, press, light words. I've been there and done that. I enjoy it. But I really, really was sunk once I moved from Violet Cries to Wash the Sins. Maybe I'm a fake fan. Maybe Wash the Sins fans are not real, because there's a little bit of sugar in this album. It is the most listenable. I mean, I think Hold Sacred is a really amazing way to get yourself in sync with like the core of Esben and the Witch, even if it's not like super synced up with like the metal era. But Wash the Sins is probably the most accessible album. It has these moving, majestic majesty songs that people really love, that are actually some of my least favorite songs, like Fall of Glorietta Mountain. That's like the popular one. It's really damn good. Very special, haunting, beautiful, kind of unique to the era the more that I think about it. Just everything is softer. It's very human. It's very listenable. It's dark, it's cryptic, but it feels more like your grandma's medicine cabinet versus like a weird wizard out in the sticks, like, I don't know, eating mushrooms and dying. But man, this album. I remember back in high school, this was my album in high school, by the way. Like, this was it. This was the album once I got into it. This is probably my favorite album of all time. And I remember when I realized that Slow Wave was really good, that's when I was like, uh-oh. Like, for a while, Slow Wave was just the song that led me up to the really good song, which is When That Head Splits. Like, probably my number one song ever. Not necessarily as clear as some other bands, because other bands I'll talk about, there's one song, and that is the song. Head Splits is probably the song. But when I realized that even Slow Wave was breathtakingly beautiful, that's when I was like, I'm sunk. Head Splits is my personal recommendation, personal favorite. Death Waltz, very similar appeal points. Fall of Glorietta Mountain, haunting, lovely. A lot of people love that one. I think that might have been the one that went on like MTV Skins to like get some clout in the house. But God, you can't go wrong. Yellow Wood was very important to me back in the day. It's got that New England. I think it's New England. That New England Yellow Wood imagery. It's super beautiful, super dramatic. God, what a far cry from Violet Cries. Just very listenable, very moving, easy to get into. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the band's least favorite album, because I just don't think they're as into these like direct, listenable, almost popish songs, but I love it. You take this cryptic shit and you make it a little easier to get into, a little fun, give it that groove the whole time, and I am freaking there. Iceland Spar is just like, it is good. It is good in its own way. Just like, man, like, intrepid heart, a daunting task, all eyes on the paler path, like, something, how say cleaves, for light it leaves, where skies part to sky, clouds part, sky clear. It's so cool. It's so cinematic. Like, it's not even just a cool intro song. Like, it's a good song all on its own. And, oh my goodness gracious. When I realized, like, putting down the prey is even kind of cool, that's when it's like, oh, this thing goes everywhere. I'm not a big fan of Smashed to Pieces in the Still of Night. I'm not as big on Glorietta Mountain as some people are. For a lot of people, that's the song from this album. We're dancing now. Is it Despair? Despair is alright. It's definitely not one of the more popular ones, but oh boy. Yeah. When this album is on, it's fucking on. This is one of the albums that made me who I am. Like, it's hard to put a finger on it, but Wash the Sins is Wash the Sins. I'm glad I was able to be so like expressive and intricate about all the other albums, and thank you so much for listening to get to this point. But here's your climax. It's just, I love this album. Like, I think you're not going to hear me end lists with my favorite albums of all time again for maybe ever, because the other albums I consider that aren't from bands that I would find interesting to rank at this point in time. I seriously think my top two albums of probably all time would have to be Wash the Sins by Esben and the Witch and Hell Above, Collide with the Sky by Pierce the Veil. They're just very special to me. What do I even say at this point? Like, I wrote an essay about this for my literature class. Like, again, like, this was high school, but this was also college. This was the Stan era. This was just such a warm, special, magical, personal sound, and it's almost a little bit un-Esben, but it's always been the core for me. it's always been the core. There's just a special feminine magic in this album that just supercharges me. Again, I wove this complicated legacy throughout all the other albums, and I got here and I'm like, this one's kind of weird, but it's my favorite one. It's almost removed from the rest, but no, I really do care about this band. I really care about all these albums so much, and whatever they did here on their funny sophomore album, very, very different from Violet Cries. It worked. It worked really, really well. I love Wash the Sins. You could like staple it to the YouTube channel. I could make numerous video essays about just Wash the Sins. It's just there's nothing like Wash the Sins for me. It's special. I have been proudly full of love and liquorin for over 10 years. 10 years strong, Melovania, full of love and liquorin. There's a bulb inside her head where once there was a brain in place, a clod with roots, a ball of string that's full of love and liquorin. Yeah, that's me. Put it on the gravestone. I don't know what to say. It's almost midnight, and I've been recording for so long. This is just how I talk about Wash the Sins. It's like I have a crush. I'm like, ooh, is she gonna be here today? Wash the Sins, not only the face. It hasn't lost its appeal. It's stuck with me. These really are some of my favorite sounds of all time. Give it a listen if you love me. I do think it's another accessible album, but again, it's almost like eating candy because it's not actually going to prepare you that well. I mean, to be fair, I got all of my energy for loving this band from this album, even if it's a little bit disconnected from a lot of the rest of the sound. I'm sure someone could be more generous and be like, no, 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 no. This is obviously essential to the whole history of the sound. I don't know. I feel like Hold Sacred is a good mix between Violet Cries and When That Head Splits and Wash the Sins because it's a bit more esoteric, it's a bit more dry, it's a bit more like crunchy like Violet Cries, it's a bit more witchy like Violet Cries, but it has that warmth, it has that human side, it has that comforting element like Wash the Sins. So yeah, I guess the more I say it, the more I'm like, those are kind of my three albums, but like Older Towers really muscles its way up. Like I wouldn't ever put under even if I put it under Hold Sacred for today, I wouldn't put it under Violet Cries. But yeah, I think I've done a good job of painting the picture here of my history of driving around moody New England, which funny enough, one of the band members, for a while I think they may have all lived in like Rhode Island or something because of like the Eldritch Horrors. Like there was a time where I wasn't really a fan, but like I think one if not multiple members of Esben and the Witch like straight up lived near me, which is just fucking weird. you know, all these bands I was obsessed with are all British. They weren't near me. That's a lot closer than it used to be now, huh? But yeah, one of them I think settled down in like New York City or something. It's weird. But this was my hashtag New England experience. We are haunted. We are haunted in New England. And if you drive around Maine, it's like this. It's like naturey, crunchy, spooky, cold. There's ghosts, but I'm there. So fear not. Yeah. Stan Esben and the Witch. I've been doing it. You should do it too. Fuck yeah. Peace and love. I am no dog. I am a wolf. Violet Cries. Best album 2025.